In this video, I'm going to take you through working with pipelines in ZOHO Recruit. So if I open up the ZOHO Recruit, the home page, you will see in the pipeline summary where you are with each of the different jobs you're trying to recruit into. So you can see how many applicants you've got at the screening stage for which jobs, how many are personal interview, how many have been offered, how many have been hired, how many have been rejected. And the flags show, you know, the greatest status or the furthest progression that you've got to with each of these jobs. Okay, now that's actually fed from the hiring pipeline in each of the job openings. So if I go to the job openings and I look at the marketing executive, here's the hiring pipeline which feeds that chart. Now these are stages in the hiring pipeline, just like a sales pipeline really. And within each stage you have statuses: applied, review, submitted, etc., offered. Now that can be slightly confusing because there's also something called the job opening status, so which is that you'll see up here. Now I'm going to leave that for the moment and come back to it at the end, because it can get slightly confusing to think about the two together. So these hiring pipeline statuses actually reflect the statuses of the applications. So you've got applied here. So if I look at changing the status, you can see under screening you're applied, person of interview, submitted to a hiring manager, and so on, so forth, offered, etc. And you can see that this actually is the same as in the hiring pipeline. Okay, so if you change the applicant status, it will change where they are in the job openings pipeline, and this can happen automatically. So for instance, if I submit this applicant to the hiring manager like so, send that off, and I refresh the record, you'll see that it's changed the status of the application, and in turn that has changed the status of the the stages in the hiring pipeline. So now I've got one applicant who's at the status of submitted to hiring manager. And just to enforce that view, if I go back to that applicant and maybe I change that stage from submitted to hiring manager to approved by hiring manager, okay, and I go back to the job openings, go into the marketing executive role, and under the personal interview, you can see it's moved on now to approved by hiring manager. Okay, so that's quite a useful thing. Now, just to cover the other aspect of, because there's also something called the candidate pipeline. So if I go into a particular candidate, this candidate we're talking to, you can see the stages in the candidate pipeline. So are they new? Are they in review? Are they available? Engaged means that they've been associated with a particular job opening. Have they been offered? Have they been hired? Now, how do we actually customize these things? So if I go to the customization module and go into the hiring pipeline, you can see these are the stages in the pipeline, and you can add stages if you wanted to. You can also add statuses by using the manage status button. So if I go into here, I can just go down here and I can actually add a status here. And then you can map those stages to the particular stage using the map status button. Okay, so interview in progress, for instance, I can say, well, that's part of the personal interview, right? And I can map that across. Okay, so so that if I go into the job openings now and I look at the personal interview, you'll see that that's actually been associated with the hiring pipeline. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now, going back to the hiring, the customization side, the applicants or the candidates pipeline is managed here, and where it says applicants, and you can't really change these stages here, but you've got some options. So you can say, well, can an applicant apply for multiple jobs, for instance, or do they have to have just one job that they're applying to? If a candidate is hired for one of those jobs, do you automatically archive all the other jobs that they've applied for, or do you keep them in the system? So these are, sort of decisions you have to make within the business. So I hope that has all made sense to you, of the way that you can use the hiring pipelines in ZOHO Recruit to manage your recruitment department, to know where you are with all the jobs that you're recruiting into, or manage your business if you're a staffing agency.